Big welcome planned for Chinese president. Business confident of an all-time high. And a US Air Force band plays to a Port Moresby crowd.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Thursday's news. The eyes of the business world will be on Papua New Guinea this evening as the country plays host to some of the most influential business leaders. The APEC CEO Summit begins this evening on the Pacific Explorer.
Among companies looking to take advantage of the opportunities from the APEC CEO Summit is Oil Search, a company synonymous with the rapid development of oil and gas in PNG. Its managing director, Bulletin, is excited at the prospect of meeting with potential investors and telling the story of PNG as an excellent investment destination. Particularly when most of the country's LNG exports end up in the Asian market, discussions on any future development will be one that will be followed closely.
We're very dependent on exporting gas into Asia, so ensuring that our customers understand that we're doing this well and operating well in Papua New Guinea. We also need access to capital, world capital, so we need access to capital markets in the US and Europe and elsewhere. So again, sending the message that PNG is a reliable partner, has got a tremendous track record of value, and also a socially responsible partner is part of the message into APEC.
On the eve of the APEC CEO Summit, PNG's largest bank, Bank South Pacific, announced its partnership with UnionPay International, the world's biggest card network with more than 6 billion cards issued. UnionPay is widely used by Chinese shoppers internationally as well as domestically, and with China already an economic powerhouse, this is a strategic move to gradually tap into the Chinese market.
To have the heads of state or deputy heads of state from 20-odd countries, to have people at very senior levels in government and business is really a great opportunity for Papua New Guinea and Port Moresby in particular to once again present its face and to show that we are a country that's capable of hosting such a significant event, that it's a country which is very welcoming, and that our infrastructure, our people and our capacity is such that we are also going to be an investment destination and a tourist destination.
This morning, EMTV spoke to PwC PNG senior partner Jonathan Sito, who also acknowledged the importance of the APEC CEO Summit and what PNG can look to achieve in terms of investment from discussions with key business figures from the APEC region.
Well, I think our Prime Minister said that PNG is open for business, so long as it's good investment, so long as it leads to the inclusive growth that we're looking for. Investments can come from anywhere, I think. And so China's obvious, in the last couple of years, China's been obvious about their investments in PNG. I mean, it's really up to us to ensure that we get the most out of it for the benefit of our people.
Meribatulo, National EMTV News.
The Chinese president's arrival tonight is expected to cement relations between Papua New Guinea and other Pacific nations. Details of Xi Jinping's arrival are being kept under wraps, but tomorrow a tight program is expected, which includes several bilateral meetings with Pacific Island Forum leaders.
Tomorrow, the most powerful man in China will be in Port Moresby in a visit that is expected to create significant ripples in Papua New Guinea and the Pacific. Government officers aren't saying when Chinese President Xi Jinping will arrive, but he is due tonight before the Leaders' Summit tomorrow. Papua New Guinean leaders have been pushing the line that the visit is of significant importance to China-PNG relations.
His coming gives us an indication that the people of China are confident of this country, and that we have a long partnership to go a long way to make sure that we depend on each other, support each other to realize the goals and aspirations of our own people.
For China, Papua New Guinea is perhaps the biggest prize in the Pacific. Its contribution to this APEC meeting is also in the billions of kina. Prior to APEC meetings, Chinese aid funded roads, vehicles, buildings, communications and the Papua New Guinea Defence Force. China's aid in Papua New Guinea, according to the Lowy Institute, is about 2 billion kina.
It's a very strong message that Xi will be here for 4 days. And so it's a very strategically timed state visit. The fact that we see the China flag everywhere around town, I think that's really sends strong signals to not just the Pacific, but also all of the delegates here that China is really on the front foot.
And that's expected to rise with more projects in the future. The tussle for control in the Pacific is expected to be interesting over the next 2 days, and especially tomorrow when Xi Jinping has bilateral meetings with leaders of Pacific Island states in Port Moresby.
Australia, of course, is a very large partner for the Pacific Islands region, but in many ways we are the primary partner for the region, but we often operate with a degree of neglect. We don't need to spend too much time thinking about the region because we already are the biggest partner and there's no viable alternative to us. Well, now China is presenting a viable alternative.
Scott Whitey, National EMTV News.
And Australian Foreign Minister Marise Payne announced several development plans that Australia will be focusing on in the Pacific region. Among these is the rollout of the Pacific Labour Scheme.
Today, Australian Foreign Affairs Minister Marise Payne highlighted some initiatives that the Australian government has in store for Papua New Guinea and the Pacific. One of these, the rollout of the Pacific Labour Scheme.
This is doubly positive, if you like. It's positive for the Pacific in terms of that economic return that it enables Pacific workers to send back into their communities.
The Australian Foreign Affairs Department will also establish an office to help implement development initiatives in the Pacific. The office will be a coordination point for programs Australia will engage in, including the Pacific Labour Scheme. The minister says during the APEC Leaders Summit, they will make arrangements with PNG with the aim to have PNG participate in developments in the region.
The aim of the Office of the Pacific is to provide us with a whole-of-government focus, coordination point, if you like, in relation to our Pacific activities. It won't just be staffed by foreign affairs and trade officials, but it will have agencies represented within the Office of the Pacific.
With this year's APEC theme of embracing the digital future, Australia will work with the government to identify key areas of improvement to achieve digital inclusion.
I think the government here in Papua New Guinea is as enthusiastic as I am about increasing Papua New Guinea engagement. We will be talking to them about opportunities of really targeted focus between employers and sectors and the Papua New Guinea government and their communities.
Rayon Lakingu, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Foreign Minister Rumbing Pato is adamant the country can benefit from this increased attention from China, the US and Australia. Speaking to EMTV News, Minister Pato says despite the commentaries on China's growing influence versus the move by Australia and the United States to maintain their influence, Papua New Guinea will remain guided by its foreign policy of being a friend to all.
Well, it's PNG's foreign policy that we are friends of all, enemies of none, and we welcome all the partnerships. We foster all the partnerships that we can find. I've mentioned on many occasions that we welcome the investment of the People's Republic of China, Australia, USA. They are traditional friends and partners of PNG. We want to look to global partnerships that will enhance sustainable development and address the issues of concern to our region and globally. And APEC is an opportunity where we can look to foster unique partnerships in all these areas. And we're not going to be engaged in some conflict. We're rather promoting those partnerships and friendships to ensure outcomes which will best serve the interests of our people and our region.
Business leaders around the APEC region remain confident that their companies' revenues will grow over the next 12 months despite increasing trade frictions. The PricewaterhouseCoopers comment comes on the back of an ANZ report that presents a positive outlook for 2018 and 2019.
PwC carried out the survey in the lead-up to the APAC CEO Summit, which is currently taking place in Port Moresby. A total of 1,189 businesses from around the APAC economies were surveyed, 84 from Papua New Guinea, with the consensus that 35% of businesses were very confident of revenue growth, with a net 51% planning to increase investments over the next year. Despite being faced with issues such as the lack of foreign exchange in recent years, Papua New Guinean business confidence continues to strengthen, rising from a stuttering 10% in 2015 to a 35% confidence level this year. This, according to PwC PNG's Jonathan Sito, stems from the resilience of PNG CEOs in navigating the diverse challenges they are faced with in country.
When you operate in Papua New Guinea, you expect a certain level of challenges, and you know, from time to time we do have our sort of local issues and challenges, and so you know, from a CEO's perspective, there's no point sort of labouring on the challenges, but it's looking for the opportunities to get out of, you know, to make things better. And so, and I think that's why I say that PNG CEOs are resilient, that we are faced with many challenges every day, and you know, the ability to navigate through that is more important.
Leanne Girari, National EMTV News.
You're with the news on your number one. We'll be back with more after the break. Welcome back. For residents in the nation's capital, tomorrow will be a public holiday. Authorities hope this will assist in cutting down traffic, making it easier for APEC economy leaders and delegates to move around.
Despite tomorrow being a public holiday, major shopping centres in Port Moresby will be open for normal trading.
Tomorrow no weekend, long weekend.
With tomorrow announced as a public holiday by the government, major shopping centres such as Waterfront, business will be as usual. Now I spoke earlier with some of the shoppers and this is what they had to say.
Tomorrow we are not working because it's a public holiday, but after tomorrow and onwards, business is still as usual.
Boss blows toye them to online game them to correct let me play by walk.
Monica Koju drove all the way from Gordon's with her 4 children to buy fresh fruits and food for her family. Koju says if stores in the area close, at least she has enough food for her family.
Tomorrow in time lo ipe ko sena mi play campaign kage blouse na. All begini wanda mi play camera. All tong no at store open so mi play ready kage blow tomorrow na. Up tomorrow same.
Michelle Steven, National EMTV News.
A student from the Kop College had the opportunity to give her perspective on the outlook of internet development in the country at the APEC Advisory Business Council meeting. The grade 11 student said her generation should now be looking at solutions for 21st century problems.
APEC 2018 has the theme Harnessing Inclusive Opportunities, Embracing the Digital Future. This means improving the connectivity of the internet and providing avenues for the rural population in the country to have access to the internet at a lower price. A student from Kop College in NCD, Chelsea Silas, with local internet infrastructure startup project Blockchain Pacific and its partners, the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, presented on the outlook of internet development in the country at the 4th APEC Advisory Business Council meeting. The student presented a concept called Birdwing, a similar system to that of the NID system, a concept that was designed as part of the Blockchain Pacific.
A digitalized national ID system, you could be solving issues on planning because you would need correct statistics or data in order to plan for a country, budgets and everything else would fall into that once you plan.
One of the main issues she faced was internet cost and connection.
With internet connectivity, we found out that in most rural areas, there was no or low internet penetration, and that was one of the key factors that affected the NID.
It was gladly welcomed by the delegates, but they were concerned as well with the high cost of the internet in the country and the low connectivity in rural areas, which sees only the 2G network accessible in rural areas and 3G in Port Moresby and other areas. She added that their generation was born into the technology era and that they would be the ones to fix these issues.
We were nerve-wracked. We were nervous, we were scared, but then once going through it and identifying the challenges and then seeing how students like us could solve problems that we thought was better left to the government to solve.
Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV News.
The registration of security personnel and service providers who are taking part in the 2018 APEC Leaders Summit has been slow. Today, at least 300 police and defence force personnel, including Air Niugini staff, queued up at the Sir John Guise Stadium to get their accreditation passes processed. Since Monday, this was the scene. It has been frustrating for many and time-consuming. These ID cards are important for the security operation as it gives one access to meeting venues and accommodation sites. The PNG APEC accreditation team are responsible for these passes. U.S. Air Force Brass Band of the Pacific is in Port Moresby for APEC Leaders Summit. Today they performed for the general public with bystanders eager to see U.S. Air Force Brass Band. Cadet reporter Suli Suli brings you some of the music performed.
Despite the blistering heat, it was an entertaining day for people around Boroko Police Station as they witnessed a very polished performance from the Pacific Brass Band of the U.S. Air Force. The band's public affairs officer, Senior Sergeant Master Greg Bluthman, said the performance was one way for the band to show its appreciation to communities in Port Moresby.
This is a band from the United States Air Force Band of the Pacific, and this ensemble is actually called the Pacific Brass. So it's a 6-piece brass band, and this is a way for us to come out and say thank you to the people of Papua New Guinea.
This U.S. Air Force Band consists of full-time active duty missions in the Western Pacific region who support the military and community relations objective of the USAF. The band began their performances yesterday at various locations around Port Moresby. Their public performances will conclude tomorrow.
So we did 4 different locations yesterday. We went to the Port Moresby General Hospital, and then we went to the National Library. After that, we went to the Gordon's Police Station yesterday, and then we finished up at the Vision City Mall.
Suli Suli, National EMTV News.
The Commerce and Industry Minister Weramori yesterday launched the APEC edition of the Mail Review magazine and a complimentary publication titled Invest in Papua New Guinea. Minister Mori and Maprik MP John Simon officiated the launching of the magazine with Michael Mell, Chief Editor of the Mail Review. The Mail Review's APEC edition contains background information of each of the 21 APEC economies and insights of the provinces in PNG. 20,000 copies of the magazines are to be distributed to APEC delegations and leaders and government houses in PNG. Now don't go away. National EMTV News will bring you more local stories after these messages. Welcome back to the news. The Manus provincial government says it will not be used again to advance Australia's interest for military presence on the island province. Manus Governor Charlie Benjamin says Prime Minister Peter O'Neill should consult the provincial government first before talking to Australia for any bilateral arrangements on Manus Island.
The Manus provincial government says enough is enough. It does not want the PNG government to pursue the interest of Australian government on Manus soil. Governor Benjamin, who was disappointed with news of Australia's plans to establish a naval base, says the provincial government was not aware of this discussion. Benjamin denies having any knowledge of the contract dealings recently signed between the PNG and Australian governments.
Yes, Manus is an integral part of Papua New Guinea. Yes, Lombrum and Siedla Bay or Harbour are national assets. But that does not give the right to the government governments of Papua New Guinea and Australia to conduct the affairs to Manus has no people living there and no government of its own. We will not remain unhelped. We will not be used again to advance the national interests of Australia to have the presence of Navy on Manus Island.
Manus remains a strategic location in the Asia-Pacific in terms of military placement and the existing international economic trade routes. The question on whether the Australian naval base will be set up in Manus has been asked since September, but still no firm word from the national government.
Recent announcement with the Australian Prime Minister, the Honourable Scott Morrison, about the future use of the naval base in Manus is that Papua New Guinea has got an ongoing defence cooperation agreement with Australia, I believe since 1975.
The Papua New Guinea Defence Force has denied this, but when Prime Minister Peter O'Neill responded to these concerns in Parliament, he announced that Australia will be giving 4 naval vessels to PNGDF to be based in Lombrum.
The Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea denied it on the floor of Parliament. Then he revealed it without saying it, that Lombrum is a national asset and he can do what he wants to do with it. I said, Usati document. Do not hide behind the laws. Treat people as people. Respect our provincial government as you should respect all other provincial governments in Papua New Guinea.
But while the discussions are being made at the national level, it is the locals that will be left to live with the consequences. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The Port Moresby General Hospital is anticipating a bunker which will hold a radiotherapy machine to provide radiotherapy to treat cancer in the country. 2 Indian specialists in cancer treatment from the Kidwai Cancer Institute in Bangalore have been in the country to assess the situation and provide technical know-how to bring in the equipment. The facility, after construction and installment, is likely to be operational by June 2019.
Can help all these patients.
The 2 specialist doctors, Dr. Ravi Kumar and Professor Linge Goda, expressed disbelief that PNG has no radiotherapy equipment, knowing that 60 to 70% of cancer patients that get the disease need radiotherapy.
And it is a saddening state to know that we don't have radiotherapy services. And in the last couple of days, myself and my colleague, we just went around the hospital. The doctors are very enthusiastic. Only thing is, the government has to come forward to support, to install radiotherapy services.
Dr. Paki Molumi, director of the ear, nose and throat at Port Moresby General Hospital, says it is likely that the building and installation of the cancer facility will be done by June or July next year.
Next few weeks, the tenders for the facility will go, and we hope that we should open this facility mid next year, like July or June or July.
Oncologist at the Port Moresby General Hospital, Dr. Peter Olali, says he sees around about 30 patients a day at the Port Moresby General Hospital, but most that come in are in the stage that needs radiotherapy to save them.
Big relief for those ones who are currently silently suffering. Every day I look at their face, they're crying to me. Nobody else sees it, I see them. I got nothing to tell them. If you have the money, you go overseas.
The importance of the radiotherapy facility is paramount for Papua New Guinea because the process to treat cancer needs combined treatment, which includes surgery, chemotherapy and radiotherapy.
We have the cobalt in Ley, but after we give surgery and we diagnose here, do the surgery, we had to send them back to Ley again to get that radiotherapy. Now the radiotherapy machine, as I'm hearing, is down. So patients have to come back here, get surgery and go down. So it's quite difficult for patients to move around.
The only machine that provided this service in the country was in Ley, but has been non-operational, and this new machine will be a blessing to cancer patients throughout the country. Fidelis Sugina, National EMTV News.
There is no cancer registry in the country, and statistics on the types of cancer and how many diagnosed with the disease cannot be truly verified. At the Port Moresby General Hospital, there are patients that come to seek treatment from around the country, but most are in the final stages of cancer. And with no radiotherapy machine, a full treatment which includes surgery, chemotherapy and radiotherapy cannot be performed, and the pain and anguish is unbearable in weight of the imminent.
Reported cases at the Port Moresby General Hospital record 3 common cancers: oral cancer, breast and cervical cancer. Head of Ear, Nose and Throat at Port Moresby General Hospital, Dr. Paki Malumi, and oncologist Peter Olali gave their accounts of how many patients come to each of their clinics for cancer diagnosis.
The clinic, we see about 300, this is oral cancers, 300 new cases a year. Every day I see about 30 patients. These are the ones who got referred in a proper way, went to see a doctor somewhere in a province and sent over. But there are many out there silently suffering, and they're dying, and they're blaming other things for causing those sores in the mouth or breast and whatever.
The only radiotherapy machine in Ley became non-operational. With a new facility to be built at the Port Moresby General Hospital, it will help in treating the patients. Most times patients only get surgery and chemotherapy and the cancer returns. That's why the facility will look to rid cancer of a patient. 2 specialists from the Kidwai Cancer Institute in Bangalore, India, Dr. Ravi Kumar and Dr. Lingegowda, work in one of the biggest cancer hospitals. With India's population over 1 billion, they are here in PNG to provide technical support in establishing the radiotherapy facility,
which is the second biggest cancer hospital in India. We are catering services to almost 100 new patients and 1,000 patients on follow-up, and every day 450 to 500 patients receive radiotherapy.
Dr. Ravi Kumar says the machine itself will help in the treatment process.
What is going to be established here can treat about 120 patients a day. So that can tackle most of your cancer patients.
And will treat more than 100 patients a day, most welcoming for patients who cannot afford overseas treatment.
Cancer patients requires radiotherapy either alone or in combination with the surgery and chemotherapy.
Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV News.
The Pacific International Hospital in Port Moresby yesterday performed the first ever pediatric cardiac surgery to 2 children who have severe congenital heart disease. Volunteer specialist doctors from For Hearts and Souls, a US-based Christian missionary foundation, offered this minimally invasive but highly specialized surgery for free.
In the cath lab, an adult man was undergoing surgery by visiting pediatric interventionist cardiologist Dr. Vinette Sencla and his nurses. This is the same lab where 6 children from Kujib Nazarene Hospital in Jiraka Province who have suffered from congenital heart disease or hole in the heart disease will be operated on in the next 5 days. For Hearts and Souls partnered with Lila Foundation in providing and supporting logistical support for these 6 children and their guardian. The procedures being performed at PIH is called patent ductus arteriosus or Pda Catheterization. The Pda is a blood vessel that is open while a baby is in its mother's womb. It allows blood to bypass the lungs since the baby is not yet breathing. It normally closes shortly after birth. If it remains open, it can cause heart and growth failure in children and may lead to decreased lifespan. Pediatric cardiologist Dr. Kirk Malone says the procedure is simple and patients can move around right after the surgery.
And we would expect this would, in a minute, as soon as that device is placed, their life is starting to change.
For Hearts and Souls is a missionary organization. The founders, Dr. Kirk Molan and his wife, pediatric cardiac anesthesiologist Dr. Kimberly, have been providing pediatric cardiac medical outreach and performed 600 surgeries in 11 countries, including PNG. The families of the 6 children said they are very grateful for the doctors to operate on their children. 7-year-old Caleb Alukolip was the second patient to undergo the surgery yesterday. He was diagnosed with the disease on August this year. Caleb's mom, Noreen Kolib, says she thanks God for bringing these doctors to them.
Kain operational se mem kosti tumas.
Na mi plakain online no na apply for dim cost long operation na transport fees na all geta mi pla mas through all sem. I got missionary team staff na all enough making possible mi pla lokam.
Some of these children have been suffering from this disease for years, and this surgery can give them a second chance to fully live their lives. Michelle Stephen, National, MTV News.
A week-long meeting is underway in Port Moresby to review the awards of nurses throughout the country. Regional executives of the PNG Nurses Association have discussed a 3-year plan to improve pay and work benefits of nurses, which will be presented to the Departments of Health and Personal Management. Rosemary Yambune reports.
Papua New Guinea Nurses Association executives from the 4 regions discussed a 3-year plan aimed at improving work benefits of nurses in the public health sector.
Basically, we are reviewing the award, and because PHA is coming in, so there's of manpower throughout the country, and we are very, very mindful about our workers throughout the country. So this award, we would like to review it so that it can reflect the service, reflect the changes the government is going through, and to basically reward our nurses of the workload they are doing, and it suits all the nurses working in all levels of hospital, level 1 to level 8.
According to the General Secretary, nurses continue to play an important role within the health sector but are not adequately compensated for the work they do.
And to ensure that they are happy, there are different allowances, work allowance, or it's all covered in the awards, that we want our nurses to be compensated well and look after well so they can continue to support individuals, families and community. So once we have healthy individuals, families and communities, then they will be able to support this country.
The association has identified weaknesses in the previous award plan, which this meeting hopes to address by putting forward recommendations for the next award structure.
But in the current award, we are trying to edit, give a clear-cut instructions, and also improve on existing clauses for it to be applied clearly, and it should benefit all the nurses throughout the country.
Rosemary Yambune, National, MTV News.
Kina Bank today announced its partnership with UnionPay International, which will enable its customers to have access to ATMs and merchant terminals. Elizabeth Guka with the details.
The partnership agreement signed between Kina Bank, PNG's 4th largest retail bank, and UnionPay International will allow Kina Bank customers to be able to use their ATMs and merchant terminals. CEO of Kina Bank, Greg Pawson, outlined that the signing of the partnership is a strategic move to increase the capabilities of Kina Bank as a financial service.
So the strategic partnership and agreement that we've signed with China and UnionPay today is an important part of our strategy and our vision to be PNG's most dynamic, progressive and accessible financial services company.
The strategic partnership between these 2 financial service companies enables both to establish global exposure in terms of networking. Speaking during the signing of the agreement, the chairman of UnionPay acknowledged the partnership between Kina Bank.
So I'm very appreciate our cooperation with the Kina. This time and after we finish this agreement, this achievement cannot be separated from the trust and support of the Kina Bank. Kina Bank is our important partner in the PNG.
Kina Bank hopes to advance its services in partnership with UnionPay International to include the distribution and customer accessibility of UnionPay cards in the future.
So I think it's a really exciting enhancement to our existing product offering, where in the future, early in the new year, we will be able to accept China and UnionPay customers through our FPOS merchant network, through our ATMs.
Kina Bank believes that through the partnership, The Union Pay card users in PNG will be able to have easy access to use their cards. Elizabeth Guka, National EMTV News.
And up next, we take a look at some sporting updates in Chukai Sports. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. PNG LNG Comals and SP Hunters forward Moses Meninga recently attended the High Performance Sport Leadership Summit in Australia. The summit saw 30 athletes, including Meninga, from different sporting codes attend.
Moses Meninga was excited when given the opportunity to represent the Code of Rugby League at the Leadership Summit in Gold Coast, Australia. He says this has also given him the chance to meet other PNG elite athletes.
For me personally, it is a great experience to be among, some of the best elite athletes of different sporting codes and to discover, to know more about their sporting codes and their personality for the week. It's been awesome, great. I really enjoyed it.
Being mostly confined to rugby league, Meninga says the summit has helped him to better develop as a player.
In rugby league, I think it helped me to, see the different kind of. It's not only us that, carry the flag of PNG. There are other athletes from different sporting codes, and we need to respect them and support them and be with them and go through what they do. It's not only us. That's what I've learned.
His experience and the information gained from the summit will also be shared amongst his teammates and coaches.
To be a whole elite player, holistically, you have to be fit physically, mentally, and you need to be fit in terms of personal development, and personal management. And it's not only sport that you're looking at; it's your career as well. So I learned so many things along that line, and it really helped me. And I think I need to share that with my boys back in the camp here.
Meninga was part of the SP PNG Hunters team this season and the PNG LNG Kumul squad for the PM's 13 clash and the international series against England. With the long season he's had, he says he's looking forward to a break before getting back to pre-season training.
Thank you to High Performance and for giving the Rugby League fraternity an opportunity to join the High Performance and attending the Athlete Leadership Summit, which is very helpful, I saw, and I thank our fraternity for choosing me, and not only me, but we can work in partnership with High Performance to promote such elite leaders, not as elite sportsmen, but as leaders as well, to lead.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
PNGFA President John Kapinato says there is definitely a lot more work to be done in the Federation. He says they will also be working to bring back the confidence of the general public, including the business houses and governments of this country from national, provincial and local levels.
Football is now one, it's a global game, and we want to build that relationship with them. I think National Soccer League has come together and is now in a different direction of being inclusive to all the regions. I think we call out to our business partners to come in and build a relationship with us so that we can take football to the next level. So today we have a very good board that I've seen, the management of PNGFA. We still got some issues, but we're working and trying to fix it out. But I think the future looks good for us at this moment. So my appeal to the stakeholders, the corporate partners, that you need to come in and support Papua New Guinea football as we take it along this journey.
Stay tuned for some international rugby action when we return with Chukai Sports.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome back to Chukai Sports. A shock announcement today in New Zealand for the Super Rugby fraternity with Tana Umanga bumped out of his Blues job a year early.
The weight's been lifted off Tana Umanga's shoulders.
It's probably just understanding, the management side of being a head coach, and which wasn't, again, as which I've said isn't my strength.
He's not the first departing Blues head coach to admit he struggled, but the former All Black captain is the first to stick around.
Having learned from what I did and what I didn't do, to be honest, in the 3 years I've been here, probably, assured it for me.
It's been a long time of reflection for Umanga. During his 3-year tenure, the franchise won just 19 of their 46 matches, and only 4 coming this year. It's prompted the new board to show it means business. 2 major reviews later, and there's a restructure in coaching roles.
Keep doing the same thing every day, you get the same result, so that's exciting as well that the governance is really standing up.
Former All Black teammate Leon McDonald, initially appointed as Umanga's assistant for 2019, now fast-tracked into the top job on a 3-year contract. Umanga dropping back to an assistant's role on a 2-year term, focusing on defence.
He's got great ideas and great vision, but more importantly, he just wants to get his hands dirty on the grass and coach.
This shake-up seen as the final step to return the Super Rugby franchise back to its glory days of 15 years ago. And McDonald's their man, having shown previously with the Tasman Marcos he can develop young talent.
That's what you're trying to create, a learning environment where players are turning up and they're hungry to be better and they're prepared to work for their success. So, and that's the challenge for the coaching group to get that right.
Something that's way overdue at the struggling Blues outfit.
Umanga had only just returned from Dublin, where he's been promoting this weekend's All Blacks test. 3 off the side, with more than 260 caps between them, will set new records against Ireland on Sunday.
There's no doubt locking combination Brodie Retallick and Sam Whitelock are a winning combo.
Retallick's he's one from out of space, and Sammy's not far behind him. He gets quite often gets missed. How good Sam Whitelock is.
Both men made their All Blacks debut against Ireland, Whitelock in 2010, Retallick in 2012. So it seems only appropriate that it's against Ireland where they'll set the new record for an All Blacks lock partnership, starting in their 50th test together.
I know there's been a lot of talk about Sammy being a bit tired this year, but he will get a good break next year, and I think you'll see the true Sammy next year.
The pair surpassing the 90s locking duo of Ian Jones and Robin Brooke.
You can look after one, but the other one's going to hurt you if you put all your attention on one of them. So I think that's the best combination.
The locking combination's not the only significant milestone this weekend. The game here will be Aaron Smith's 82nd Test match, making him the most capped All Blacks halfback in history.
Overtaking Justin Marshall.
It was going to be beaten, and I couldn't think of a better person to do it, and a more deserved person.
Ryan Crotty is the only new starter this week, replacing injured Sonny Bill Williams.
And that's a wrap on Chukai Sports. We'll bring you the weather update after the break.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast in the Moresby region. Showers in Lae, shower 2 in Medang, thundery showers in Wewak, and thundery showers in Vanimo as well.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for today, Thursday, 15th of November 2018. On behalf of the news team right across the country and myself, pleasant viewing. Good night.